Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into a fascinating one, the story of Edward Leedskalnin.
Ah, yes, the Latvian immigrant who somehow single-handedly built the Coral Castle down in Florida.
Exactly. It's even on the National Register of Historic Places now. Quite something.
And for this, we're mainly drawing on, well, his Wikipedia page. It actually does a pretty good job covering his life, the building itself, and all the mystery around it.
Yeah, it pulls together a lot of the threads. Our mission really is to kind of unpack the most compelling bits for you.
Because it's more than just rocks, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. It's a story about, well, heartbreak, incredible willpower, a lot of mystery, and some pretty unique ideas about the world.
So if you're into those stories of seemingly impossible feats or just how far conviction can take someone.
Then you're in the right place. Okay, let's dive in. Edward Leedskalnin, born Latvia, 1887.
Right, fifth son, farming family, pretty standard start maybe.
Except for the education part. Only went up to fourth grade, apparently.
Which is interesting because the sources say he was often sick as a kid and spent a lot of time reading.
Self-taught then. Makes you wonder if that's where some of his later, shall we say, unconventional ideas came from?
Could be. That kind of independent learning, maybe. It also mentions he might have picked up stonemasonry from his father.
Which would obviously be useful later. Okay, so fast forward, he's 26.
And he gets engaged to Agnes Scuffst. She was much younger, only 16.
Ah, the famous Sweet 16.
That's the one he always referred to her as. But, uh-oh, the engagement doesn't last.
It gets broken off, and this seems pivotal, like maybe the thing that sent him on this whole new path?
It seems like it,
Yeah.
because right after that, basically he emigrates.
Yeah.
Heads to North America in 1912.
Talk about a fresh start. Or maybe running away from something. Anyway, lands in New York City, April 1912.
Doesn't stick around there too long, though.
Yeah.
Works some jobs on the East Coast, and bam, heads west.
Pacific Northwest. Logging boom time. He seems pretty adaptable.
Definitely resourceful. The Wikipedia info says by 1917, he's in Oregon. His draft card lists him as self-employed,
Doing what?
making axe handles. Fits the logging region, I guess.
Makes sense. And the 1920 census puts him in Reedsport, Oregon, so he's out there making his way.
Then another big shift. Early 1920s, like 22, 23 maybe.
He moves again, this time Florida City.
And the reason given? Possibly tuberculosis.
Yeah.
He needed a warmer climate.
Funny how something like a health scare can lead to, well, into the Coral Castle.
Totally unintentional, yeah. He buys this acre of land, undeveloped. Pretty remote back then.
And there's even a little local newspaper mention, February 23 says he's going to build a home.
Yeah, just a home. If only they knew what was coming.
Right. Because over the next 20 years,
20 years, working alone.
and mostly at night, which just adds to the whole mystique.
He quarries and sculpts, get this, over 1,100 short tons of oolite limestone.
That's
Cool.
almost 1,000,000 kilograms. It's staggering.
And he shapes all this rock into this amazing structure, originally called Rock Gate.
Which we now know as Coral Castle. And the whole thing, he said, was for her.
For Agnes. His Sweet 16.
The scale is mind-blowing, but what about the tools?
That's another layer. Apparently, super basic stuff. Whatever he could get his hands on. Salvage wood, old car parts.
Really? Not like heavy machinery.
Doesn't seem like it. He starts with this sort of simple blockhouse, limestone, and wood. Then just keeps adding, building the stone marvel piece by piece.
And he'd let people come see it.
Yeah, opened it up for tours, charged a dime, 10 cents.
Which inevitably leads to the big question, right? The one everyone asks.
How did he move those stones? Some of them weigh tons.
And his answer was always so cryptic.
Yeah, that famous line, I understand the laws of weight and leverage, and I know the secrets of the people who built the pyramids.
I mean, come on. That's just asking for speculation, isn't it? Makes you think ancient aliens or something.
Totally fuels the legends. But the Wikipedia page does balance that. It mentions some locals remembered school trips there.
Oh, and what did they say?
That Leedskalnin would actually show them, explain some of his methods. Manual stuff.
Yeah.
Levers, pulleys, maybe.
So, maybe not magic, just really clever engineering. Using basic physics principles he understood deeply. Perhaps from that stonemasonry background.
Possibly. We don't know the exact techniques, but it suggests he wasn't claiming supernatural powers to everyone, maybe just being mysterious with strangers.
Still, the scale. And then there's the move.
Oh yeah, that's wild. Mid-1930s, he decides to move the entire castle.
From Florida City to Homestead, where it is now. How?
He hired a truck and a driver.
Can you imagine loading those massive carved stones onto a 1930s truck? The logistics alone?
It just shows incredible determination. He knew where he wanted it.
So beyond the castle, what about the man himself? The page touches on his personality, right?
Yeah, it seems he was pretty reserved, kept to himself mostly.
And his diet was odd.
Very odd. Just crackers and sardines, apparently. That was it.
Wow. Why so austere? Was it poverty or a choice?
Hard to say. Maybe part of his overall eccentric worldview. The page also mentioned something sadder.
What's that?
That in his later years, he basically starved himself.
Oh, that's grim.
Yeah. Then November 51, he checks into a hospital in Miami. Might have been a stroke.
And he didn't last long after that.
No, died 28 days later, kidney infection. He was 64.
Yeah.
A life really dedicated to that one massive project.
Leaving behind this incredible structure and a whole lot of questions. But he left writings too, didn't he?
He did. Published 5 pamphlets himself. Advertised them locally.
Trying to share his ideas, maybe?
Seems like it. One is called Magnetic Current, but weirdly, it wasn't actually published until, like, 1988.
Long after his death. And you can only get it where?
At the Coral Castle gift shop. Adds to the mystique again.
Of course it does. What else did he write?
His longest one was called A Book in Every Home. Catchy title.
A Book in Every Home. What was it about?
It had 3 parts. Ed's Sweet 16, domestic views, and political views. Mostly his ideas on moral education.
Okay. Like what?
Well, the printing itself is strange. Only on the left-hand pages.
Why?
He apparently left the right-hand pages blank, inviting readers to write their own opinions.
Yeah.
Interactive, I guess.
Huh. And the content. You said moral education.
Yeah, the first part has some, let's say, very dated views about girls needing to be kept pure and boys having a soiling influence.
Yeah.
Definitely of its time.
Yikes. Okay. What about the other sections?
Some sayings about raising kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then the political stuff.
Let me guess. Unconventional?
You could say that. He thought only property owners should vote.
Seriously?
And that your voting power should depend on how much property you owned. Also, if you couldn't support yourself financially, no vote for you.
Wow. Okay, definitely not mainstream democratic ideas.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But then there's this other layer. Some people think the book is coded.
Coded? How?
Like the text, the layout, maybe even those blank pages.
Yeah.
They think it secretly contains his research on electromagnetism.
Whoa. So the blank pages weren't for reader comments, but for decryption.
That's the theory some have put forward. Pretty wild stuff.
And the whole Sweet 16 thing, maybe more than just about Agnes?
Some speculate the number 16 itself was important to him, maybe numerologically or scientifically in his theories. It's hard to separate the personal from the philosophical with him.
Especially when he gets into things like mothers needing to ensure daughters are chaste, even suggesting mothers act as an experimental station.
Yeah, that part's particularly unusual and frankly uncomfortable by today's standards. A real mix of ideas in that book.
Okay, let's pivot to the magnetism stuff directly. That seemed core to his thinking.
Absolutely. He was deeply interested in it, wrote 4 pamphlets just on magnetism, electricity, and the body, even included experiments.
Simple experiments people could do?
Yeah, trying to demonstrate his points. But his main idea, his big thesis,
Yeah.
it went against the standard model of electromagnetism back then.
How so?
He argued that metals aren't the actual magnets. Instead, he thought they contained these tiny, individual north and south pole magnets constantly circulating, smaller than atoms even.
So magnetism wasn't a property of the metal, but something flowing through it via these tiny particles.
Exactly. These individual magnets, as he called them, were acting on all matter all the time. That was his fundamental concept.
And he thought science was missing this.
Yeah, he felt scientists were only seeing one half of the whole concept because their tools were one-sided. He was pretty critical.
It's a very holistic view, almost. What else? Did he think these tiny magnets could be destroyed?
No, he believed they were indestructible. His example was, like, if you burn wood, the matter changes, but the magnets just disperse. They don't disappear.
Interesting analogy.
And he thought different materials just had different amounts of these magnets. He used a battery experiment to try and show that.
It's a whole unique cosmology, really, built around magnetism.
Completely.
Yeah.
Very individual, very thought through from his perspective, even if outside the scientific consensus.
Which inevitably brings us back to the castle and its impact. It's definitely captured the public imagination.
Oh, for sure. It's become a pop culture fixture, partly because of the sheer effort. One guy doing all that, the ingenuity.
And partly because of the mystery, right? The how did he do it aspect feeds into all sorts of speculation.
Totally. Wikipedia mentions the theories about, ancient knowledge, tapping into Earth's magnetic energy, even
The
levitation.
more esoteric explanations.
Right. But it also brings it back down to Earth, suggesting his stonemasonry and logging background were key.
That he likely just had a really, really good grasp of practical mechanics, levers, ramps, pulleys, counterweights.
Exactly. Maybe using principles we still use, but applied with incredible skill and patience, and maybe some clever, simple machines he built himself. Ingenuity over magic.
Still an amazing feat, either way. And that core story, the dedication to Sweet 16, that resonates too, doesn't it?
Definitely. It's inspired artists. The Wikipedia page lists some great examples.
Like Billy Idol. Can't forget that.
Sweet 16, the song, and the video. Filmed right there at Coral Castle in '86.
That must have brought a whole new wave of attention to the place.
Absolutely. And other musicians, too. A band called Pinata Land did Latvian Bride.
And Andrew Peterson, he has a song called The Coral Castle.
Yeah, pulling on those themes of lost love and this monumental, solitary creation.
Even novelists. Diana Chaviano, the Cuban-American writer.
Right, she included a whole chapter about Leedskalnin and the castle in her book, The Island of Eternal Love.
So his story really has seeped into the culture.
No doubt about it. So wrapping this up, what are we left with?
A story of, wow, heartbreak fueling this immense physical creation, unconventional theories about physics,
Yeah.
an enduring mystery.
Yeah, the aha moments are kind of everywhere. His almost unbelievable self-taught skill, that unique take on magnetism, and just how the castle itself keeps inspiring people.
So we gotta ask you, the listener, what part of this grabs you the most? Is it the mystery of the construction, the power of one person's focus, or maybe those strange ideas about magnetism? Do they make you wonder?
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Looking at Leedskalnin's single-minded dedication, it poses a fascinating question.
Which is,
If you had that level of focus, that deep, maybe unconventional understanding of some fundamental principle, what impossible thing could actually be achievable?
what could dedication plus a unique insight unlock?
Definitely something to chew on.